In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. And today we get a chance to dig in and at least wear the hats of data geeks. I'm really excited to work today with Zeke Camusio, who's a serial entrepreneur and digital marketing strategist with over 2 decades of experience shaping the success of more than 80 tech startups. That's a big number. We're going to dig into that too. As the CEO of DataSpeaks AI, Zeke has mastered leveraging analytics and machine learning to help businesses uncover actionable insights and drive growth. With 3 successful business exits under his belt, he's here to share his expertise on transforming frustration into clarity through data-driven strategies. Zeke, it's great to have you on the show.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for taking time to have a conversation with me. I'm really grateful for that. Mm-hmm. Now, 80 companies. How have you been involved with 80 companies, Zeke? Tell me that story first.
Yeah, of course. So most of them were through an agency that I had for 8 years, maybe 10 years, that got acquired about a decade ago. It was essentially helping them with merging the tech they had with data-driven decision making. So each of those startups was very good at making an amazing product. Part of that is measuring how your users take advantage of it, what their frustrations are, what they actually love, what features they're using, which ones they're not, and what marketing channels are most effective at delivering not only good customers, but customers that are going to spend a lot and have high customer lifetime value. So that's one of the key considerations. Making sure that you're using the right channels that are going to deliver the highest quality customers in the long term.
Sure. Now, are you or have you been focused mostly on e-commerce or digital businesses, or you do some work with brick and mortar outfits also?
Always digital. Some were e-commerce, some were SaaS, some were lead gen. These days, we're mostly working with e-commerce brands because they're the ones that have more questions about attribution. They have more channels, more tactics than ever before, and a very complex customer journey. And they want to understand where are my customers come from, what strategies and tactics should I be investing in.
Yeah, attribution, even with as much granularity as we have in channels, still for me is a challenge. Are you finding that other marketers are still having a tough time with attribution?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we found is 87% of marketers believe that making data-driven decisions is key to success. Yeah. Only 17 of them actually feel like they have data that they can trust.
Right.
So it's a big problem.
It's a big gap. And so is that part of what your current project is filling?
Yeah, we are highly targeted on solving that problem, which is attribution. The reason why is 54% of marketing budgets in the US for consumer brands are spent on ads. And if you don't have a reliable way of knowing how well they work, you can't possibly get good results from them.
For sure. And let's see. So if 54% of the budget is ads, then is that what you're primarily working on masking is the ad budget and the attribution to the ads?
Yeah, that's essentially our focus is answering what we call the MDQ, the $1 million question, which is how much revenue will I get for every dollar that I invest in a given marketing tactic, media campaign, and so on.
Sure.
So if you have $100 to put into it, should we put 80 here, 15 here? Figuring that out is as important as targeting the right people with the right message.
Now, do you have some data on, let's say, on a mid-range purchase, like something between like 100 and 400 or $500? How many messages a brand has to give in order to win the business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of data. What we found is that there are a lot of factors. So one of them is what you mentioned, the purchase price. So
Yep.
generally speaking, the more you spend, the more you consider it.
Yep.
The another huge consideration is how much social proof do you have? You think about it when you buy, BMW, like a brand that everybody knows, has a reputation for. But if you're a newer brand, you can have to, make up for it with more case studies, testimonials, and whatnot. But to give an average, we find that between 7 and 10 exposures is really what it takes.
Yeah, interesting. It's I mean, that's been pretty consistent through the last, say, 35 years of my career, right? 7 to 10 touches in order for it to make a retail buying decision. Do you also work with B2B brands?
We work with B2B. What we found is that they don't have that much complexity in their data. So mostly they do LinkedIn content marketing. They do a lot of offline, events and stuff like that. And they also have more with e-commerce. You have a purchase, and that's that. The consumer could come back later, purchase something else, but every time they come, how how much they're spending with you exactly. With B2B, there's a little bit more of a, you get 100 leads today. You don't know how many of those will turn into, projects, how much of those projects should be worth. So there's a little bit more a different, kind of layout. So we do have about like 15% of our clients are B2B / lead gen, but 85% of them are consumer brands.
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and there's way more options, I think, for us as end users at the household level to be able to buy, whether it be shoes, TVs, vacations, right? I mean, we have unlimited, what seems to me to be unlimited number of choices.
Yeah.
I think, what are you seeing in terms of lead rot, and like what's the speed to lead that the average e-commerce business needs to have in terms of when somebody has a buying intent or some interest, and maybe they come in and do a form fill or just land on a product page? How quickly are we seeing before there's attrition to that lead?
Yeah, so it also varies quite a bit. I think the factors that I mentioned so far are also relevant in this case. I think that a good criteria to evaluate that is there's kind of a spectrum between things that you want and things that you need. If you need something, you're much more likely to buy it in the first 2 or 3 exposures to it. If you want something, maybe you already have a watch and you want another watch, or like fashion, kind of stuff like that. You might want to have another jacket, but usually that's towards the end of the spectrum we talked about. So 7 to 10. And also, there's other factors like seasonality. Maybe you're exposed to something now, but you don't need it until the winter. So that also plays a role.
Yeah, that makes sense. What are you seeing in terms of, or do you have data around video consumption versus PDF consumption, and how that maybe is triggering different response times in audience?
Yeah, and it's that's where looking at quantitative data alone sometimes doesn't tell the full story, because the way I see it is there are different tools for different jobs. And what we found is that doing sentiment analysis is that qualitative piece that adds more context to the data. What I mean by that is there are certain things where video is really powerful. So showing that human emotion, creating rapport with somebody you've never seen before. I mean, that's something that you can't really do very well through a PDF. But there are certain things. Essentially, for us, we do a lot of education. Helping prospects understand. If you want to measure attribution, these are the different types of attribution you can get within each. These are different options you have. So PDFs are usually good for that.
Yep.
So I like thinking in terms of, you have a toolbox and you have to tell a story. What is the right tool for that job? And the answer would depend on what it is that you want to accomplish.
Yeah, that makes sense. So for Data Speaks, what's the your biggest source of top of the funnel leads? How are you getting your leads?
We are a fairly young startup, so we've been developing this software for the last 4 years with the team of data scientists. A lot of the first phase of that was testing and finding something that works consistently across different industries and so on. So we've been in the market for only about 12 months now,
Great.
and it's been mostly our network and people that friends of friends, going through some agencies as well. I mean, that's a big one. They're the ones buying media for their clients.
And they have to validate that they're actually getting something out of the spend, right?
Absolutely, yeah. They have to prove it, but also they have to help their clients perform better, and
Sure.
get the as advertising costs are increasing, there's more competition. Consumers are spending not necessarily more. They need better insights to provide the same performance they were providing a year ago.
Sure.
And for a brand, marketing is an aspect of the brand, but for an agency, their performance is their product. So we help them provide a better product.
Nice. And so, okay, so you're kind of using that first layer of referral and network
Mhm.
as your first. What else are you doing? How are you leveraging social media? Are you leveraging some pay per click? What are you doing?
We are not advertising yet.
Okay.
So it's mostly thought leadership. So
Yeah.
writing, LinkedIn, being on podcasts, and our network is expansive enough that we are still working through that.
Sure.
And we also found that likely because we took the time to build this well from the ground up, is that we are getting a lot of referrals. So
Nice.
the way to think about it is, if you have the average brand has 3 different agencies that they work with. So maybe an agency recommends us to the brand, we start working with a brand, and then the brand introduces us to the other 2 agencies, which in turn have 20 other
Yeah.
clients.
Sure.
So it's a really good way to navigate that whole ecosystem.
Yeah, and as long as you're meeting your growth goals, then you can grow organically like that, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is, we make it very clear that although we give brands and agencies the tools to measure what they do and make good decisions, at the end of the day, they do the work, they deserve the credit. We're just here to support them. So that's really important to know. You can have amazing insights and recommendations, but at the end of the day, you have to execute. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. And then, are you guys hosting your own podcast yet?
We started, and I recorded 1 episode, so it's a great way of meeting really smart people and networking. So we it's very, very new, but I'm excited.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's cool. I think in so many ways, podcasting achieves all the things that you're talking about, right? Where you're able to establish thought leadership, you're taking positions on current events and current changes in industry, but then you also get to talk to people, get brand feedback, product feedback, and you maybe even talk to some prospects that way. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
beautiful. Now, so you're establishing attribution for pay per click. Um, Now, what's kind of a minimum spend that's a brand or a small business would need to have in order to be able to justify bringing your SaaS online for their stack?
Yeah, a minimum of 25,000 per month, and recommended 50,000. So if you're spending 50,000 and you don't have a proper attribution tool, you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah, and so you guys are targeting mid-market right now in order to get off the ground and build the product, and then hopefully the genius of your offer will trickle down to those of us in the small business realm too, so we can afford it.
I want to believe that might be the case, but to be very, very transparent, what we found is we build a custom model for each single client, and we haven't been able to find a way to like automate that without losing accuracy in our approach. So there are a lot of tools that I can recommend. Triple Whale being the market leader for that. I guess the smaller side of the segment in the market. I think they're a very decent service. The more you're spending on ads, the more that waste is in your company, and the more it makes sense to have something more robust. So that's the segment of the market that we are servicing right now.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Talk to me a little bit about like what your favorite one or two AI tools are right now that you're using in your day-to-day life.
I mean, it's probably 95% ChatGPT, and I have it, and it's open AI API that I have integrated with everything I do. I also work in the Google ecosystem, so Gemini is also integrated with my Gmail, and I think that's the trend that I'm seeing in the market. Rather than AI being a product, is really a feature of products that are already established, and the more distribution you have, the more market you have, the more people are going to be using your product. So those are the ones that I use the most. Not the only ones. I also use Descript for video editing and getting social media clips. But yeah, I would say the majority of it is AI. I have everything properly configured, all the shortcuts, all the custom instructions, and super, super helpful.
Yeah, I love it. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Zeke, anything else that you want to leave us with? How about the best way to get in touch with you guys if somebody wants to have some help, or at least have a conversation with you?
Of course, yeah, happy to help in any way possible, even if you're not at the size that we normally work with. Happy to spend some time with you and try to point you in the right direction. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Zeke Camusio. I'm sure we can put the link in the show notes. And if you want to learn more about DataSpeaks, go to dataspeaks.ai.
All right. Well, I really appreciate your time today. Thanks for breaking all that down for me, and I wish you the best of luck on this current software journey that you're on, and look forward to catching up with you again soon and see what you have going on in another few months.
Sounds great. Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, Zeke. Well, it's good stuff. I love, even if you don't have the marketing spend or the ad spend to work on that level of attribution, it brings up a great point that there are other tools for small businesses to work on for ad spend, and in particular pay-per-click attribution, because we know that we need to know where our dollars are coming from, especially our key customers, that 80% of the volume, and we want to continue to spend into those segments that are doing well for us so that we can be more profitable, and also to make sure that you're integrating your daily work like email in with the appropriate LLM that you love in order to speed up the work that you do, so that we're using AI as a tool in order to speed up our administrative work, make some more money, and then use that time and money to spend it something we love to do, like spending time with our family and friends, or taking some time out in nature. I appreciate you spending some time here today with me, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.